Chapter 2. The Fairy Village. Alison followed the green boy as he skipped and pranced deeper into the trees of the island. She hadn't thought that the island had seemed this big on her boat trip over, but now it seemed remarkably large. The boy sung a song as he skipped. Hum-do-di-dum, deeper into the woods we go. Hum-do-di-dum, I've got lots of things to show. Hum-do-di-hum, I hope you're ready to see. Hum-do-di-hum, that there is more here than just these few trees. As he sang these words, the tree branches seemed to sway to his voice, and before Alison knew it, she was stood in the centre of a fairy village. "Wow, what is this place, Michael?" she asked. "Well, you wanted to see where I came from? Well, here it is. This is the village of Greenrose, here in the fairy realm. Come on, I'll introduce you to some folk," he said excitedly before grabbing her by the hand and leading her to the nearest wooden building, which just so happened to be a place where the fairies made their rather special green hats. "Alison, meet Judy Creeper. Judy, this is Alison." "Pleased to meet you, Alison," said Judy Creeper. She was also a fairy with green skin. She wore a long green dress and had lots of jewellery set with green jewels, but the brightest thing about her were her emerald green eyes. She was very pretty. "And I am pleased to meet you, Judy. Your jewellery is very pretty, and so are you," replied Alison. "Thank you. That is very kind of you to say so, Alison. It seems like it has been a long time since Michael brought someone from the other side to our realm. He must have been working extra hard today," she said with a laugh. Michael looked at her a bit annoyed, but then he smiled too. "Here, Alison, take this," said Judy, and she handed her a beautiful necklace with a green emerald set in it. "Really? I love it. Thank you, Judy," said Alison in surprise. She looked at the emerald, and it was a very rich and deep green. "It is a good luck necklace of the fairy folk. We all carry a green jewel or two, for you always need the luck of the fairies on your side, especially here, and even more so where you come from. Ah, look, here comes David Derrick. He makes the finest fairy hats, but I'm afraid they are for fairies only. Now, and he has a funny way of speaking, so pay attention closely, Alison," Judy said with a smile. Alison nodded and turned to see a very round-faced fairy approaching. He looked like William, a chubby boy from Alison's old school, well, apart from the green skin and clothes, and especially the extra special hat. Goodness me, it was a tall hat. "Well, well, well, a hole in the ground. Well, I never thought I'd see the likes of a pretty young girl of the human kind here in Greenrose. Greenrose. You must have worked hard for a change, Michael, to bring her here today. Now, around, let's see what sort of sized head comes with thee," said David Derrick as he walked around Alison, pulling a tape measure from one of the many pockets on his tall green hat. And then he started to measure Alison's head. "David Derrick, you know the rules. Hats are for fairies only," said Judy crossly. I know, but a little measuring won't hurt. After all, how often would I get the chance? A sort of what, if you will. A very large head. I don't mean to be rude, Alison, but I've just measured everything you will do with that head of yours, and if you were a fairy, I would have to make you a very special hat indeed." Thank you, David Derrick, but I don't want to break the rules. I've only just got here, so I want to be well behaved," said Alison. "Yes, David Derrick, enough of your nonsense. Come on, Alison. Perhaps we should take you to meet someone a bit more sensible," said Judy, and she and Michael began to walk away. "OK, I'd better go with them. Thank you, David Derrick, but I'd best be off. I don't want to lose my way here in Greenrose." Oh, I understand the ground you walk on, the path you tread. It's all up here in David Derrick's head. So away with you. Follow the other two. Quick, he shouted jollily. But just as Alison turned to run after Judy and Michael, David Derrick whispered in her ear, "I'll make you a hat anyway. Sometimes to do what's right you have to break the rules just a little bit." Before Alison could say anything more, he shouted happily again, "Away with you, Alison! Hats are for fairies only." Alison ran after Michael and Judy. "So, Michael, where is your house?" Alison said when she caught up with them. "Ah, yes, my house. Well, it's not much, because I only sort of stay there part-time, because, well, I have a lot of work to do on the island, and Judy cut him off and said, "Yes, Michael can't spend a lot of time here. He has other duties. But we can show you where he sometimes comes to sleep if you want." "Yes, please," said Alison politely. "OK, sure thing. But first of all, how about a drink, eh?" said Michael excitedly as he ran through the streets towards a large pool with a fountain of the cleanest water Alison had ever seen. He ran and dived straight into it. It must have been quite deep, for he disappeared before bobbing up with his hat in his hand and spurting water from his mouth. He laughed really hard and really happily. "Oh, this is one thing I miss dearly about the fairy realms. Good, clear, clean water," he shouted out happily. Judy reached over and grabbed Alison's hand. With a smile she asked, "Shall we?" And she pointed to the fountain. "Well, I might get in trouble if my clothes get wet, but I guess I am still wearing my life jacket, and I have this good luck necklace." "Come on," shouted Judy, and she pulled her hand. Alison ran with her and jumped in. The most amazing thing happened as she hit the water. Her clothes started to change to the colour green. The water was so clean and fresh, even if it was a little cold. It was a lot of fun, and Alison, Judy and Michael all played in the fountain and splashed each other and laughed together. Eventually they got out, and Michael said, "Oh, I almost forgot." He picked up a nearby clay jug and took it back into the fountain towards the jet of water. He returned and offered it to Alison. "Guess first, this is the best water you will ever drink." Alison took the jug and drank some of the water. It was cool, and the most delicious water she had ever tasted. She felt her eyes widen a little, and she felt fantastic. "Wow, yes, that is great water," she remarked. Michael offered the jug to Judy next, and then finally took a drink himself. "Oh, I have missed that taste," he said happily. "Hey, Michael?" Judy asked. "Yeah, what?" he replied mischievously. "You know the best way to get dry, don't you?" "Yes, I think I do," he said with a chuckle. "Shall we?" Judy said, with a glint in her eye and a mischievous smile herself. "Yeah, let's," said Michael, getting up to his feet. Judy turned to Alison. "We're going to have a bit of fun. You will need your necklace for it, though. Oh, and take that life jacket off. It will only slow you down, because you're going to have to run really fast," she said. "OK, what are we doing?" asked Alison excitedly as she took off the life jacket. "Oh, you'll see. But first we are going to have to climb. Come on," said Judy, beckoning Alison to follow. "OK, let's go," said Alison, and she left her life jacket on the grass near the pool. The three of them ran towards a ginormous tree, around which was built a wide wooden ramp. Without a second thought, they all began to run up it. It went round and round and round the tree. They got about halfway up before they stopped running. "Look, Alison," said Michael, peering over the side of the edge of the wooden ramp. Alison stood on her tiptoes and looked up. Far below was the fairy village of Greenrose with its bubbling fountain. Suddenly Alison felt a bit scared. "Wow, we are a long way up already. It is safe up here, isn't it?" she asked. "Well, that depends on what you mean by safe," said Judy with a smile. Alison was quite scared now. Maybe we could go back down?" she asked them. Michael came over to her and held her hands. He looked her in the eyes. "Look, Alison, to be like a fairy, sometimes you have to be brave. And if you hadn't have been brave earlier, you wouldn't have got to my island, and you wouldn't be here now, would you?" No, I suppose not, Michael, but I am a bit scared. I will try not to be. I suppose I could be brave like you guys are." Judy came over and touched her arm, and with a smile she said, "Look, Alison, we are good friends now, and good friends are together forever, to always help each other out. As long as you wear the necklace of the fairies, you will be fine, and what's more, your clothes will be warm and dry. Plus, it's going to really be a lot of fun." "OK, I'll do it. I will be brave," said Alison, and once again the three ran round and round the ramp to the very top of the tree. At the top there were lots of leafy branches with strange-looking birds and insects on them, and further ahead of them, at the top of the trunk, was a double door. Judy and Michael walked up to it and grabbed a door handle each. OK, Alison. When we open the doors, we are going to run in and run up another ramp until we are outside again, said Michael. Then we will see the yam planter's bird sleeping. We are going to shout, "Wake up, yam planters, wake up!" Then it will be time to really run, added Judy. Yes, you'd better run fast, because he can be quite grumpy when the fairies wake him up, and we don't want to get caught by him. We go back down the new ramp through the tree, and then out to the other side, where the mush blooms are. Make sure you grab one. That's the most dangerous bit of all of this, warned Michael. Now come on, let's go, said Judy excitedly, and they pulled the doors open. Alison ran in behind them. She was not sure what she would see, but this is what she saw. The inside of the tree room was large, and she thought she noticed some paintings hanging on the walls. But Michael and Judy were already running up the other ramp back into the branches of the tree, and she didn't want to lose them, so Alison ran as fast as she could. She put her head down and ran hard. Suddenly she was with the two green fairies. They both had wicked grins on their faces. Then she looked up behind them and saw the yam planter's bird. It was huge. He looked a bit like an owl, but with brightly coloured feathers and curly ones that shot up from his head. Alison was both scared and excited. "Ready on 3, whispered the two fairies. 1, 2, 3. And all three of them, even Alison, shouted as loud as they could, "Wake up, yam planter's bird, wake up!" The bird's eyes shot open at the words, and it shouted out in a huge booming voice, "Blasted fairies again!" Then something happened that Alison did not expect. The bird puffed up his chest and blew air. The air was warm and strong, so strong that the two fairies and Alison were blown off their feet and sailed through the room in the tree trunk and right out to the other side. "Whee! Quick, make sure you grab a mush balloon," shouted Michael as they sailed through. It was all happening so fast, and Alison could feel her heart beating 1,000,000 miles a minute as she sailed in the current of hot air. She concentrated her hardest as she was flung out of the opening in the other side of the tree. Suddenly there were lots of mush balloons tied to the platform on the other side, and she tried to grab one but missed. She was still flying through the air towards the end of the platform, and suddenly she was very, very scared that she might be blown straight off the other end without a mush balloon. She narrowed her eyes and concentrated deeply. She felt the necklace about her neck pulse with the energy of good green luck, and the next thing she knew she had grabbed the stalk of a mush balloon, and just in time too. She shot off the end of the platform, holding her mush balloon, and saw Michael and Judy floating down in front of her. She held on to that balloon for dear life. Then as she gently descended towards the forest floor, she burst out into laughter. "What fun!" she thought, and laughed some more. When she had landed safely on the soft grass behind Michael and Judy, she saw they were laughing uncontrollably too. "The look on the yam planter's bird's face when we woke him up! That was an extra strong blast today too," said Michael. "And look, our clothes are all bone dry," laughed Judy. "I was scared, but that was good fun," Alison admitted. "Yes, but don't ever do that without one of my fairy jewels. You need its magic luck," said Judy, coming over to her. The three friends hugged. "It really is magical here," said Alison. "Well, what did you expect? I told you I was a real fairy," said Michael. I believe you all now," said Alison happily, and the three friends walked towards a large stone in the woods.